Permiso, buenas tardes.
Break a leg, David.
My friend, what are you doing here?
How are you?
I'm all right. You got home okay?
Yeah.
Good, good. A tough trip? A difficult trip?
Okay, so we're going to start. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you again into the EFL community. We have the privilege to have Mr. Davis White. Today we have a presentation about an interesting topic. This is about how to start an academy or a language center. Okay, so maybe we English teachers are involved in working in some places and academies as well. So it's very important that we have some interesting knowledge, or maybe we can know something important related, especially for the people who want to begin something new, or they are entrepreneurs. Okay, so I think that the topic is very useful. So before we start, I say hello everybody, especially teachers from Ecuador and Peru to here in this webinar. Let's start. David, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, my friend. It's a pleasure to be here once again and welcome everybody tonight. This is a subject I like talking about, so because a lot of people ask me about this. My wife and I have owned completely 100% two institutes. I'm also a partner in 6 institutes, not just in Peru, but in other Latin American countries. I'm a partner in those. So, and I've had my own institutes now for 18 years. So, first of all, I'd like to start with a little bit of history. So everybody knows my history goes back 18 years with this. Back in 2002, English for You started. It started first of all as, well, English for You does private English classes only. It doesn't do any sort of regular classes. And we started by supplying teachers, for example, to agricultural companies for engineers. Here in Peru, we have a project called Chavimochi. It's one of the biggest farming projects in the world. It goes right along the coast of Peru. And they grow mangoes, peppers, asparagus, many fruit and vegetables which are exported. And we supplied English teachers to the offices in the farms and to the factories where they prepared the professionals. We also supplied teachers to banks and businesses and universities. A lot of the classes we provided were for book companies or distributors of books. And most of these were for international exam preparation, primarily B2. In some cases, C1, C2. So that's how it started. It was a business that had no physical identity. The physical identity was my home, and everything was people used to travel and teach. We also did online because we had contracts to mining companies. And in the evenings, teachers would log online to the mining camps, the gold mining camps in the south of Peru or Cajamarca, up near Atusco, and teach English to the engineers. Then in 2017, decided to go physical because I personally missed the classroom. I wanted to get back into the classroom. So today, these are some pictures of English for you. We have 7 study areas. We still teach private classes. We teach classes of up to 15 students. All of our classes are very professional boardroom style. We have multimedia areas where we can have up to 12 people on computers at one time. This comes in very handy because a lot of our students are English teachers who are preparing for their C1s or C2s. So they need to do test simulations for things like Cambridge. So we have all different sorts of classrooms, different sizes, depending on what we're teaching. That's me teaching a C2 class. They're English teachers. We teach children. At the moment, I think our youngest children's class is 5 years old, and they're learning online virtually at the moment. We have 12 teachers. 8 of them are full-time. They work at least 40 hours a week, and they teach all different levels. Most of my teachers have been trained in the United States or are American Latinos. I don't have any pure natives. There are no blue-eyed, blonde-haired teachers. They're all American Latinos type thing, because I need them to be able to speak fluently in both languages, especially when they're teaching basic levels or they're teaching children. It's very difficult to try to speak pure English or bad Spanish when you're dealing with 5, 6, or 7-year-olds. Part of our methodology has always been to be very hands-on. We spend a lot of our classes actually in the community, in the city. We visit botanical gardens, museums, we go into markets, we go visit historic buildings, things like that. The purpose for me of English is communication. So to sit in Mercado Central and talk while you have a juice, or visit the Supreme Courts, the Toy Museum, or the Botanical Gardens is a great way to practice your English. It's better than actually in the classroom when it comes to certain aspects. We're also a lot into playing games for teaching English. I make my own games. I make a lot of board games and different things like that, because I believe that when language is boring, people don't pay attention, especially young people, especially children. It's got to be interactive, it's got to be student focused, it's got to be dynamic, or it fails. That's especially important now during the virtual classes. Now, of course, at the moment, all of our classes are online. We're doing, at the moment, between 30 and 40 classes per day online, which is a lot of classes. Takes a lot of organizing. But for us, for the Institute, it was very simple because we have always taught online, a certain percentage. So we had everything from basic through to TOEFL, through to GRE, GMAT, SAT preparation, prepared for online teaching. To actually change the Institute from physical to virtual took us about 2 hours. We didn't miss one day of classes. So, and that includes children's classes. So at the moment, all of our teachers, well, we're that busy, we've had to employ extra teachers. My institute is still there in Centro. I rent a building. I still pay the rent. And I hope to be back in my institute about July next year. I think that's the government's plans. So, but we have a lot of one-on-one classes and a lot of group classes. classes. It depends. We have classes for businesses, for universities, for individuals. We have students at the moment in Colombia, Ecuador, the United States, Canada, Europe, and Africa. All Peruvians who are located in different parts of the world. Apart from, we have Ecuadorians in Ecuador and Colombians in Colombia. We try to make our online classes very dynamic. For example, one of our contracts is teaching culinary English. We do this every weekend to an institute in Lima, and we actually do live cooking to teach English. Rather than teaching just vocabulary, we teach the vocabulary by preparing our Sunday lunch, which is very good because they compensate us for the materials and we get to eat nice lunch for free. But we teach teachers grammar, and we use props like dolls and teddy bears. We use the same things for kids. We even play Monopoly or Scrabble, everything like that online. The purpose, once again, is that interactivity. Now, tips. The purpose of today's presentation, of course, is to run through my history, a few of my tips, and then for me to be able to answer some questions. So I'm going to give you my tips on how to run an institute. First of all is honesty and integrity. My institute is big, and it's big because I have a reputation for being honest. Last year, I had 100% of my students pass their international exams, and we're talking over 200 students. The year before, I had one student fail. If a student comes to me and I can't give them what they want, I don't teach them. I don't take their money, because to me that's dishonest. Okay, doesn't matter how desperate you are for money. It's not honest to take money from people if they can't achieve their objective. If somebody comes to you and says, I need 100 on TOEFL, but they've got a B1 level of English, and they give you 3 months, it's not possible. If you take your money, well, you're basically telling lies to the student. So if you have a policy of honesty and integrity, you will always grow through word of mouth. Don't teach what you're not qualified for. My teachers are all C2. Most of them were my students. I prepared them for their C2s. This is very important, because if somebody comes to you and they've got a scholarship, they got this scholarship, and they said, I need to go to the United States. I got a scholarship to study my speciality in medicine, and I need 110 on top. Now, this is a common request, but you've got a B1 or a B2 level of English. You should not teach that student, because you do not have the level of English to teach it. You are not qualified to teach. So don't teach what you're not qualified to teach. If you have this person and you want to help them, find a teacher. Work in cooperation with a teacher who is qualified. But don't destroy the future of a student just to make money. That's dishonest. I give a 90% guarantee of success to my students. 10% I can't guarantee, especially in international exams, because they can get nervous during the test. They can have stress. But when the student comes to me, I give them a placement test. I give them an interview. I know exactly what their level and proficiency of English is that day. Now, if their reality doesn't meet with my expectations or with what they need to achieve, I don't teach them. I don't take their money. This is how we have 100% success, and this is why our institute is always full, because people say we don't lie or cheat to get students. Invest in professional materials. All my students study with books. Okay, we study 100% face-to-face classes with books and with the platforms that support the books. I do not rely on the internet. I do not trust a lot of the materials on the internet. Also, why should somebody pay a teacher to do something that they can do themselves? The average intelligent person can teach themselves English online using the internet. Okay, so if they come to you and you are 100% internet, well, that's not very professional. Invest in professional materials. Make yourself look professional. Make your services look professional. This is very important. Do not teach the same way as you do in school. This is very important. When you're teaching a private student, you have an obligation, moral obligation to that person. It's not a school where the teacher is the king of the classroom. You are equal with your student. If anything, your student is above you because they are paying you, okay? So you've got to have a different mentality, a mentality of success. You must do everything in your power to make sure that that student passes. In a school, we make excuses when students fail. They didn't do their homework, they don't concentrate in class, they don't pay attention. That doesn't happen when you're teaching private classes. So you've got to have a different mentality. You've got to you are responsible for the success and failure of your students, not the student. You are offering a service. You must make sure that your service meets the expectations of your students. In my institute, we often have parents bring teenagers. Now, if the teenagers don't perform to our standards, we call the parents to resolve the situation, and if they don't, we cancel the class. We ask the student to leave because I hold responsibility for all of my students, myself and my teachers. If the student doesn't meet our requirements, we ask them to leave. We ask them to go to another teacher. But on the other side, if the student dedicates themselves to our class, then we must be 100% dedicated to our student because we are responsible for their success or failure. 100% live classes, no autonomous platforms. I hear too many things where people will pay for a 24-hour a month private class. And they'll have 12 hours with a teacher and 12 hours with links to websites or to an autonomous platform. To me, that's dishonest. That's okay if you're studying in university, but it's no good if you're studying English. English needs to be 100% live with your teacher. No autonomous platforms. If a student wants 24 hours and you only want to teach them for 12 and give them 12 hours of platform, then only charge them for 12 hours. I know teachers who are teaching, who are making, for each hour, they're charging 4 students. They're making over 100 an hour because they've got students in platforms. And that's, in my opinion, very dishonest. Forget curriculum and syllabus. Only results matter in these sorts of private classes, okay? If you've got to shut one book and open another, if you've got to stop, slow down, go back to guarantee the success of your students, then you do that. If a book company tells you a book takes 3 months, but you have a slow student and you need 4 months, then you take 4 months. If you have another student who learns languages really quick and you can finish a 3-month book in 2.5 months, that's good. But don't follow the directions of the materials. Go with the standards or with the capabilities of the student. Make sure they get the right results. Go beyond the book. Books are the perfect, for me, my opinion, books are the perfect foundation for an English class. They start from the very basics and they go through to a good level. If they are a good book series, they will cover all the grammar 2 or 3 times. They will cover all the important vocabulary. They will enlighten us to specific subjects. But it can't be everything in a private class. This is not a school or an institute. You have got to take them into the world, introduce the world to expand the subjects, okay? Make it more student focused. We make a lot of videos with our students, different things like this. We have pizza nights where our students cook pizzas. They put their cell phones in the kitchen and they all watch each other making pizza, or they show their bedrooms, or they show their house, whatever. Make the classes interesting and expand beyond the book. Working without, this is something that's very important. Most teachers are used to being a teacher. They're used to having a coordinator or a director telling them what to do. When you are working for yourself, you're working without direction. You're the boss. If you want to do something, you can do it. If you think something will make it better, then do it. Don't wait for somebody to give you permission. All right? You're the boss. But make sure that every decision you make is a good decision for your students. This is a good point because it gives you that opportunity to think, what can I do to have the best classes possible? This is important. What can I do to have the best classes possible? Rather than, how do I finish the book by the end of the year, which is what most teachers are used to doing, okay? So you're the boss, make good decisions. Communicate with students. Ask them what they need. Ask them what they want. Ask them what they think. Now, if they're not happy with some part of your class, change, okay? Because they're your clients. They pay you. If you don't have students, you don't have money, okay? It's not like working in a school. If you have unhappy students or unhappy parents in a school, you still get paid. But when you're doing private classes, you have your students dump you. They'll leave you at the end of the month if they're not happy. So always communicate. Ask them, what did you think of that activity? Give me some ideas. What would you like to do? I'd like to try something else. What would you like to try? Meet their requirements. They are your client. Open for the right reasons, not just for short-term cash. A lot of people have spoken to me and they say, I just want to make some cash for a while. I could never do that. For me, my institute is my life. I've never thought of it as a short-term thing. If you're going to start an institute, teaching online, think of it as something that you can transfer into the physical world when all this virus stuff is finished, okay? Because if you do a good job, people will still want to study with you. And you can make more money than you do as a normal teacher, okay? So if you do everything right, think about, how can I make this long term? Now, if this quarantine lasts for another 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, you haven't had great success, you haven't lost anything. You can go back to the classroom. But if you have had good success, you have been teaching well, people have been recommending your services, then you can look at going physical, okay? Because ultimately, and this is a very important point, at the end of the quarantine, Online classes will once again literally disappear. Latinos do not like online classes. Many companies have tried Open English and things like this. They don't have a huge success because Latinos like the structure and the discipline of the classroom. So ultimately, if you can move into the physical class, you'll do very well. Keep that in mind. Always plan today for the future of the physical classroom tomorrow. Form of group of teachers. Now, if you want to be really, really serious about this, get together a group of your teachers, a group of friends. Try to find a group of teachers who range from, well, from B1 to C2, native speakers or whatever. And even though you're online, you can form like a cooperative where if you have a B2 level and somebody comes to you for a TOEFL, you can recommend them to the teacher with the highest level. The teacher with the highest level could have somebody comes along with a basic student and they could recommend them to you. Work together in cooperation, okay? That way, you're going to be far more successful. Student first, money second. I have never put money before people in my life. I never, ever in my life done anything just to make money because you will always fail. If you open an institute, online or physical, just to make money, and you put money before people, then you will make bad decisions. And ultimately, you will fail or have limited success. That's a guarantee. In my city, I've seen 4 or 5 little institutes start where they put money before students and they close. Okay, I've seen a lot of institutes do that. So always put your student first. The success, happiness, contemplation of your student before money. Because if your students are happy, you will automatically make money. Okay, you will automatically make money. It's like if you have a company with taxis, if you don't look after your taxis will break down and you'll make no money. It's the same thing here. If you don't look after your students first, then you will make no money. Keep studying. I mean, it's like our little workshop tonight. The internet at the moment is full of workshops. Okay, full. I'm presenting about 3, sometimes 4 workshops a week at the moment to different countries. And they're full of people. I did one last week for 6,000 teachers, government teachers. So maintain your study, go to workshops, improve your English. Use this as an opportunity to make yourself a better teacher, okay? If you want to own an institute one day, then you need to be the best. You really do need to be the best. So take this opportunity to improve. It doesn't matter if you just do a little bit each day, because each little bit helps. And you've always got to take that first step, have that first day on that journey to improving your English. And the other thing, and this is the final thing, is if you're going to do an institute properly, it has a financial and emotional cost. To teach online, you've got to have a good laptop, not just a laptop, a good laptop. You've got to get a professional microphone, maybe a professional webcam. You've got to have a nice desk, a nice comfortable chair. You cannot sit in your kitchen table with your family behind you teaching classes. That's not professional. Also, there's an emotional cost. It can be a lot of stress when you first start thinking, how am I going to survive? I need books, I've got a student, I need to invest in this, or I'm not getting students. Am I going to succeed? I need money. Believe me, when you first start doing this, there is a lot of financial and emotional cost on you. Unfortunately, most teachers are used to just working in a classroom, a school, or an institute. You go to school, you do your preparation, your teaching, you do your checking. And apart from that, there isn't much. With an institute, you're responsible. Nobody is going to give you a laptop. Nobody's going to give you a microphone. Nobody is going to organize your students for you. You are responsible for everything. So that does generate a bit of stress. Right? So that's about my points. It's a little bit more complex than that, I suppose. So, you know, I want to open the floor to some questions now. All right. Where's my where is it?
I just wanted to say one thing, everyone. I've been a
Okay.
meeting host before. Our meeting will be over very shortly, but I'd like to remind everyone to please connect to the same link so that we can continue. I just wanted to send that out to everyone to ensure that everyone reconnects.
Okay. All right. Give me some questions.
Okay, teacher, so you prepare some questions. This is the moment that you can ask. Okay, sorry, David, let me be the first person to ask you. According to according how to plan and how to start, which is very important and essential, the honesty, all the values and principle that money doesn't come first. The students are first, then money. So when you think about it, okay, what do you think about online sessions? Will be they will replace physical classes in the near future? What do you think about that?
In schools, no. In institutes, no. Universities, I think so. I know several owners or directors, deacons of universities, and for this pandemic, they've invested huge amounts of money to develop online education because theirs is very complex, teaching medicine and engineering and things. Normally in a university, they have to continually construct infrastructure, new classrooms, new buildings.
Yeah.
Okay, now what's going to happen, I believe, is that a lot of universities are going to go partially online and partially physical once this is over. And what this will allow them to do is to utilize one classroom for 3 different classes maybe. So this, for them, and that's something that's done in universities all around the world, okay? Rather than, in many universities now, teachers record lectures because, you know, in universities, there's more lectures than teaching. So they record and students watch this at their own leisure. And then they do the physical part at the university. I believe that could become popular here because universities will take advantage of that. Schools, no, because you've got to have an adult at home with the children, and you have an adult at home that has a cost. Many women today are professionals. During this pandemic, many women cannot go to work. Or children with grandparents, and grandparents don't understand technology, things like this. So I don't think school education will go virtual. Institutes, in my case with my institute, I believe that there could be more people that want virtual classes in my city after the pandemic. I think my inline classes will grow, but the majority will still be physical classes in the classroom because people like to get out of the house, they like to study, then they like to go home. It's all the social thing. Plus Latinos, as I said, study best when they have the discipline and the structure of the classroom. when they have interruptions, they find it difficult to concentrate. And that's not just Peru or Ecuador, that's in general. Pure online education works best in Asian countries, statistically, where they have a certain discipline to their education, more discipline. But I think we could see a combination of that in some areas.
Okay, David, thank you so much. I can read your suggestions or comments in the chat box, teachers, or if you want to ask any other question, you can do now.
Let me answer a question which I was asked recently. I was asked this today.
Okay, sure.
They
We
said
have
to
1
me,
minute left, everyone. I apologize for interrupting.
okay.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, let me, I've got to turn back on my, open up my thing to get my link again. Somebody who's, I'll answer this question after we come back. We've only got 1 minute. Oh, shit. Where are we? Somebody asked me the other day, this is a question that's asked to me a lot, is how do we get students? A lot of the teachers think that they're only going to get students if they talk to their friends and their friends recommend. There are many different ways of getting students, but if you want to do this properly, one way that can be quite economical is through sponsored advertising in, say, Facebook. I did that quite a few years ago now, where I did sponsored advertising in Facebook, and it does get results. And the good thing about it is that you can choose your own demographics. You can choose the age group of the people you want to attract. You can choose the area. You can even choose their professions. Like if you want to teach English to English teachers, you can put, I'm looking for English teachers between the age of 25 and 40 in the Manta region of Ecuador. And the advertisement will just go to the people that meet that demographics. And it's not that expensive. It's quite an economical way to get students. That, for me, that's the best way. And if you form a group with teachers, then you can all work together and share the burden of the costs of the marketing of your little business venture. Yeah. But your Facebook today is your friend's best friend. Today, I haven't spent $1 on marketing my institute in 7 years, not $1. I don't do any official marketing at all. And my institute is always over full, because once you get to a stage, once you get a reputation, and people recommend each other, then you will always have students. All right, questions, my friend. Andres, have you run away?
I'm here. I could step in. I wasn't able to hear the question from Carlene, so my apologies. I heard a muffled sound, but courtesy of Zoom, as we know it, I wasn't able to actually hear the question. So is it possible to add the question in the chat box, and then I can ask Mr. White to expound on it? I've been a meeting host before.
I've just gone onto my cell phone, so it's a little bit hard for me to read the chat. So you can put questions in chat and then ask me, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to monitor the chat function.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I'm communicating with everybody via chat right now. Well, since no one else is asking a question, I will.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, Mr. White, is have you ever used the author of the books or the textbooks that you're using in your curriculums to participate in sessions with the students?
No. No.
Because I have, and I found that to be extremely enlightening. I bought
Well,
your book.
let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I'm also the director of a large IB bilingual school, apart from the institute, and I have had the authors of books come and participate in my school. Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, many times in the school. Or representatives of the book companies, whether it's the author or a representative. And I've done that myself. I've represented book companies and distributors myself in presentations. And yeah, no, that is good. In the institute, no, because we do private classes, normally one-on-one, or a big class might be 12 students. We don't rank a visit by an author. Our institute's not big enough. We have a lot of students, but I mean, there's an institute which, the school that I'm a director of, we also have an institute which, outside the pandemic, handles about 6,000 students a month. That gets the authors of the books, that institute. Or we have an institute in the National University called Sedaunt. It does about 4,000 students a month. It gets authors of books or special speakers, representatives, things like that. But then
yes, because of the volume of students, yes.
No. Normally they ask me to, I get asked a lot before the pandemic to travel and do presentations and things like that, representing book companies or distributors, but not for my institute, no, because of the fact that we're not really big enough. We handle 30, 40 classes a day. That's not a huge institute here in Peru. You know, we have institutes here in Peru, in Lima, that have 100,000 students. IBNA, 100,000, Britannico, 80,000 students a month. So little institutes, no, not so much.
Now,
I wish.
Does anyone else have a question? I don't see anything in the chat box, and I don't want anybody, I don't want to interrupt anyone, but if I may ask you another question?
Of course.
Now, obviously you have an institute and you're involved in a lot of private, education activities in many respects. So what advantages do you have over the public school system? Because I assume that many of the people here in this group right now are probably teaching publicly. They're teaching in a classroom for the state or for the government. And I think a lot of people may have apprehension because in the classroom, of course, we have all the control. We have the standardized curriculum for our country that we're responsible to teach. But if I make the jump to go private, I no longer have that state sponsorship, if you will. Is there any difficulty in readjusting or reacclimating between a state or a country educational requirement to simply jump and go private?
Well, here in Peru now, we have the national curriculum, and that affects private schools and government schools. That's the minimum. Now, the government systems of education vary from country to country.
Yes.
For example, if you look at Australia, their government school system has the highest IB ratings in the world. Okay, and that's their government system. Here in Peru, our government system is not as good. It has good schools and some schools that are not as good. But people make a very defined choice here in Peru between government or private. Sometimes people will go back from the government to private schools if their economic situation changes, if they have more professional opportunities, better salaries, then they may choose to go from the public back to private schools. During the quarantine here in Peru, we were literally closed for 4 months. Only very limited things were open. People were not allowed in the streets. You could just buy food and go to the bank for 4 months. So people who were self-employed, many of them took their children from private schools and put them back into the government. But they do plan to go from the government back to private schools again when the pandemic's over and their businesses return to normal. But here in Peru, the government is predicting, I think, 2,400 schools to close because of the pandemic, because they're small schools primarily, and they haven't been able to adjust to the expectations or the demands of online classes. But here in Peru, we do have this defined line between public and private. So I know in Ecuador it's different. When one of the previous presidents invested heavily in education, government education in Ecuador, many students did leave private schools and go back to the government. That's not a situation that has happened so far in Peru.
Okay, teachers, any other comments or you have any question, you can do it right now. Well, David, I would like to tell you something about when an entrepreneur or a teacher or somebody who wants to start a language institute, okay, relating to the proficiency level, teachers level of English. No, you mentioned that it's important that they have from B2 to C2, no, which is a native speaker. How do you measure? I mean, my question is in terms of assessing, evaluating your academic staff. No, how many teachers is recommendable that you have when you start, and what programs or maybe what courses do you need to offer first in terms of advertising in your academy or your language center?
Well, first of all, most of my teachers were my students over the years. Some of my teachers I've known since they were in high school. I taught them English at the Binational Center. I taught them methodology in the National University, and then I taught them in my institute. So I've known them a long time. Even my American Latino teachers have to take a C2 test. All my teachers take a C2 test. Whether it's a Michigan or a Cambridge, they have to take a test. I do that because I don't believe native speakers automatically speak good English. Most native speakers speak horrible English. They're full of slang and their grammar's not that good. So over my years as an institute, I would have had probably at least 40 or 50 natives come to me for jobs. I give them all a placement test. Now, they don't like that. They say, but I'm a native speaker. I give them a placement test. Now, out of 40 applicants, I've given 3 natives a job because they had the level of English that I needed to teach my students. All the other native speakers failed, and that's a fact. They failed. A lot of what they fail is they mix up vocabulary and they make grammatical mistakes. Now, they're very good at understanding idiomatic expressions. They're very good at teaching conversation. But, you know, I prepare people for GMATs, GREs. I prepare SATs, TOEFLs, IELTS. If we do a bad job with our students, we can destroy somebody's opportunities in life. So I don't accept natives unless they can prove their level. I personally have taken 3 C2 exams. I have Cambridge and Michigan. I've done them 3 times. I've also done the TOEFL test and the IELTS test. Because I believe to teach something, you have to know what it's like to do the test. So I even set the same standards for myself. I cannot demand my teachers to prove their level of English if I can't prove my own. I think it's just setting a standard. I mean, if you want to be the best, if you want a good reputation, when a person walks into your office and on the wall of your office is your international exam certificates for your teachers and for yourself.
Yeah.
And they're in frames and it says, look, we're qualified. This is a big thing. It's good for the confidence of people to know that they're dealing with somebody who's qualified to teach them. That's important.
Okay, great. Good. I could hear you very well. Thank you. Well, another question. If a teacher who is interested in getting something from our special guest, you can ask.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask another question?
Okay, Mr.
I mean, I'm giving everyone the opportunity, but I'm really enjoying this presentation. So but I'm also courteous and would like to afford everyone else the opportunity. Is it easier? My question would be, what has changed the most with your experiences in education at your various levels, the most? Do you have the same passion you had 20 or 30 years ago?
Yes, I do. I've been in Peru now 19 years. I could go back to my country and have a great life. I choose to stay here because when I do my job properly, I change people's lives. That's the end. There's nothing more rewarding than putting a kid on an aeroplane or a bus to send them to another country. There's nothing more rewarding than that. I've prepared extremely poor kids, prepared them for free to study in some of the best universities in the world. In the school where I'm the director, I want to make it the best school in northern Peru. That's my aim, because, you know, we only get one opportunity in life. Every day, our day ends at midnight. If we make a mess, we can't go back. If we do our job properly as teachers, we change lives. And I've spent 19 years here changing lives. I've prepared approximately 1,300 Peruvians for opportunities in other countries. Each of them changed their life. Now, some of them studied, some of it was immigration, some of it was work. There was cruceros, there was au pairs, there was work and travel. There was many different things, but the majority of them were for TOEFL tests for to study in other countries. And I've seen them come back to Peru as amazing professionals getting incredible jobs with good salaries and to be respected. My passion has never changed because I'm so passionate about that. I will argue with anybody. I will go up to the biggest guy and I'll call him an idiot if he tells me I'm wrong. You know, and I've done it many times. There are a lot of people in Latin America who think that education, especially private education, is about making money. A lot of schools more worried about money than quality. I hate that. I detest
Yeah.
it, because the future of our children, the future of our countries are in the hands of our kids. And it's only going to be good if we do our jobs properly. And if we make a mess, then the future of the country is a mess. And that's part of the long history of Latin America. Now, I can't change a country and I can't change everybody, but I can change a small group as an individual teacher, as a director of a school. I can change the lives, the education of 700 plus students, okay? And I take that extremely seriously. So no, my body gets older, but my brain is still 21, and my heart is still 21, and my passion is still as passionate as what it was when I was 21 years old. So no, it's not changed for me. I'm extremely passionate about education. I don't give a damn about money. Money's always come automatically for me. I have principles. I follow a specific, very clean line in life. Got to do the right thing. You got to make a difference with your life. And that's why I've never gone home. That's why I took on my Peruvian nationality because I know when I do my job properly, I can change people's lives. And that's an enormous power to have. That's the power of a teacher. There's very few professions that have the power of a teacher. And I'm very proud of that.
One of the things that you mentioned, Mr. White, is you said you can influence the people around you. And of course, you can't change government in the way they deliver education. Actually, I'm doing that right now in Thailand. So I would say, and I'm doing it all online. I've never met any of the people that I've dealt with.
Oh, I've been to Thailand a few times. My friends.
But what I wanted to recommend to you or to say to you is you can. You can. And do you know?
Yeah.
You can. And what I simply do is I do one very simple thing. Can I speak with you tomorrow? Or when do you have time to speak? And because I use Zoom for all of my communication, or Skype, or Twitter, or Twitch, or Facebook, or any one of the other methods that people are familiar with, is I simply communicate with them. And Andres is familiar with the platform that I use. I'm not going to advertise it here, but I'm passionate about the particular platform that I use because of the difficulty that it presents. Believe it or not, it's not easy to use. But because I understand the bigger picture of what the platform that I use can do, I'm able to appreciate that and be willing to put up with the pain in the beginning. But I'm simply amazed at the number of people globally, not only teachers, but students as well, that want one simple thing from their learning experience, and that's from listening. They want passion. They want passion.
Well, I listen and talk to a lot of teachers. I travel before the pandemic. I traveled constantly. I worked with ORTIZ and BRELS, which is your government departments that manage education. I have contracts to do teacher training and conference presentations in different cities to help government teachers. Last week, I was invited to be. It was a great honor. I've been invited to be part of a group to help improve education in rural Peru. That's in the mountains and the jungle. We had our first meeting last week, and that's an enormous honor to be part of that. To be asked to take on a responsibility to help improve the education of teachers. So yeah, and I do I do teacher training for the government in the Piura district, in La Libertad district of Peru, things like that. They're a great honor because they come along and they say, you've got something that we can think can help our government teachers. And I like that. I like that very much. So can we make changes? Yes, but I think part of the problem is the underlying mentality or support government, you could say. Often teachers feel unimportant, they feel unsupported, things like that. One person can make a difference, but it needs one big organization, the person that controls the organization, to make the huge differences. This is what's important. You can't, I could sit and talk in an auditorium to 600 teachers, and I can get them to stand up and sing and dance. I can get them to chant grammar. I can make them laugh and cry. But then they go back to their classrooms and they're under somebody else's influence. They can remember what I said, and it may make a difference. But support is 100% thing. I mean, support in education is 100% thing. But let me tell you something. Many years ago, I got asked by an embassy to go up the Ucayali River, which is a branch of the Amazon, and we visited a project of indigenous tribes, and we traveled in little canoes. And what they did was they visited these tribes to do two things. Number one, to improve their health. They brought in seeds, planted healthier food, they drilled holes and gave them healthier water. But the other thing to do was to give them education, because the outside world was coming closer to them and they will have to assimilate. And I saw a teacher. Her classroom was the bank of the Ucayali River. She had a stick and a broom, and she wrote on the ground with a stick. And then when she finished the lesson, she'd rub it out with a broom. And the kids had rocks and pieces of wood, which they painted with blackboard paint, and they were using chalk. And when I hit a village one day, the kids greeted me in English and spoke to me in English. And these kids didn't even know how to speak Spanish properly. They had Quechua speakers, or the native language. So here was this teacher teaching with a stick and a broom on a riverbank, with kids using chalk on bits of rock and wood, and they learned something. And the secret was that that teacher had nothing, but she was morally supported by an organization who made her feel important, and they made her accomplishments important. We've got to feel in life that what we do is important. Now, me, I'm self-generating. I don't need anyone to support me. I see my results, but not a lot of teachers do. There's not many teachers in my position. They need to know that they're doing a good job. They need to know that they're successful. They need someone to pat them on the back and say, I'm proud of you, man, you're doing a good job. That's something that doesn't happen enough. Because when you consider that teachers are the most important people in the world, they don't always get the recognition or the support that they deserve.
Do you think that the main reason for that is because they're not allowed to be creative?
I went to a school once to do a workshop, and I did 4 workshops in one day, okay, on music and different sorts of really active methodology. Get out of your chair, jump around, have a lot of fun. And this was a huge school. I mean, this school had something like 2,000 students. It was a monster of a school. And at the end of it, we're all taking photos. We had this big group photo with all these English teachers. And then they told me that it was a pity that they can't do any of the activities which I taught them because they weren't allowed to make any noise in the class. The school had a rule, kids in chairs, no music, whatever. I felt like I'd walked back to when I could make music when I was at school. I felt like I was going back to the 1920s or 1930s. Later, I walked around the school and it was dead silent. All you'd hear was a few little chairs moving. Teachers need to fly free. Teachers are creative creatures. They need to fly free within a reason. They must follow the rules. But to play music, to have a game, it injects enthusiasm into students. They want to look forward to a class. They enjoy it. They love their teacher. This is what makes teaching successful. But the problem is when teaching is boring, the kids' minds automatically think of something else. Their minds wander to another place because you're not grabbing their attention. A teacher
Totally agree.
Especially with kids, has to grab them. Sorry, Jack?
No, I was just saying that I totally agree. One of the difficulties that I'm having right now in Vietnam is I'm actually interacting with a group of 50 or 60 students. And my difficulty is right now in a classroom environment, they're in grades.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm independent, a guy on the internet who no one knows anything about, I'm accessible to all grades because I don't care about your grading system. I don't care. I don't know enough about it. I don't know you. You don't know me. And I'm causing a lot of turmoil because while you may focus on A, B, C level English, I simply focus on conversation and speaking with folks. And I say, just like we did in this Zoom meeting, okay, we have 40 minutes for the basic. We have 40 minutes for advanced, and we go that way. But people are simply interacting with me because what they're realizing is, even though I'm a native English speaker from the United States, even if the person is at a C level for testing purposes, unless they use English on a daily basis, they're learning with me. So the level means nothing to me. The A, B, or C level means nothing to me because they're able to listen and interact with me at any level. So that's becoming quite a challenge, but I'm quite happy on the platform that I'm using, and I will continue to march on. Also,
the classic example of that is doctors. They can listen to English, they can read English, but almost none of them can write or speak because they read English, they read medicine and English books, and they go to conferences and they listen, but very few of them can talk properly or write properly. That's a classic problem. And I know it's a problem. For example, I've been to Vietnam and I've been to Thailand. In the tourist areas, they learn English as a way of making money. Which is fine. They help tourists, they become tourist guides and everything like that. But they do have problems with production of language, writing and speaking. Speaking is important, but so is writing, because they're the two areas where we actually use what we learn.
We have 5 minutes left in this meeting. Wow.
You know, I mean, this is what it's all about. It's about communication. You can know all the grammar, but if you can't open your mouth, nobody's going to, or you can't write it down. Yes. Nobody can read what's in your mind. Right?
I sent you an email. You can check it later. I hope we can connect again. But we have 4 minutes left. I'm overwhelmed. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I'd like to connect with you again.
That was good. I enjoyed it too.
But what I will also do, out of respect for our other attendees and for Andres, who I consider a good friend, is shut my mouth and allow others to interact and ask questions. It's a pleasure.
It is. It is. Yeah, Andres, come on.
Yeah, okay. Well, David, so it has been very important your participation and when you share our knowledge. And well, Tutor Jack also has interacted. Very interesting your comments. So, teachers, this is the last part of our presentation. We say thank you to Mr. David White because the first time we had you in these webinars, I remember you were gladly. I remember teachers said that they were waiting for you for the next presentation and that this topic has been relevant. So thank you so much for sharing your experience and I hope to see you next time, no?
Well, I'm looking forward to next year when I can get back over to Ecuador and
yeah,
get
sure.
together with some friends and we can put on a conference. That'll be great. We can get everybody together and have a big hug. You know,
I hope
without
for that time.
Before
I hope for that time I will open something and I will invite you too. So
before
when you
saying
come, you
goodbye,
are so
please,
invited.
Andres, could you let me talking?
Carmita. Yeah, sure.
Okay, first of
Carmita,
all,
you have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. White, for your participation.
Thank
Everything you have said is really regarding for me, and I'm sure that too. And I was hearing everything, and I hope to see you in our next webinars and here in Ecuador too.
I remember you. We've met, haven't we?
Yes,
Yes,
I guess
we did.
yes. We met in Guayaquil.
Yeah, we
Were
went
you
and
there? Ah,
yeah, I
that's
remember
nice that
you.
you remember me. So I hope to see you again.
Yeah, I've met
I really
thousands
hope
of
to see you
people, but
again.
I remember you, even though you're a little teeny weeny tiny picture at the bottom of my cell phone. I remember your face.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you very much.
Mr. David
White.
remembers some of his
I'm
friends.
happy because of that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing. We can do another presentation, Andres, or when we get back to Ecuador and we all get
Absolutely,
together
yeah.
and have a big event. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Sure.
It'll be a lot of fun. We can get together with
Thank you
Giaco
once
and
again,
do
and please
something.
share your email and your contact information for me too.
Yeah, Andres has all
Yes,
my
of course.
information. Yeah, Andres has all my information.
I'm gonna share with you.
No, if anybody wants to talk, look, I'm doing presentations at the moment to India and Europe and Mexico and the States. I'm doing all over the place. A lot of people talking to
Great.
people in
That's great.
institutes
Thank you
and
very
stuff.
much.
Yes,
Mm.
I see
You
you,
want to
David,
have a
because
chat? Let me know.
every week I see you. You are working on presentations. Yes, that's good. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much, my friends. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Julita, and all of you guys.
Thank you.
Bye
Andres.
bye. Thank you so much.
Bye
I
bye.
hope to see you next time.
Bye bye.
Everyone.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a great
I'll be there
pleasure.
for sure.
Great
Bye,
pleasure.
you guys.
Bye-bye.
See you again. Take care.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
See you next Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's been great on. Great on. Take care. Bye.
Bye, my friend.